Okay.
Nobody went to see it at the movie. They thought maybe they'd catch it.
There you go. Here it is. It's only 50 minutes long.
All right, the movie, and I'm sorry. Well, first of all, I apologize that it cost everybody $6 to see it. And I'm sorry, Karen, that you didn't get to see it at all. But I don't think you'll be left out of the discussion. I think there's enough here that you can follow along and offer feedback. It's All We Imagine Is Light, international co-production involving companies from France, India, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Italy, released in 2024 about two nurses, Prabha and Anu, who live together in Mumbai and work at a hospital. So one of the overarching themes is just how do you, as an individual, make your way through a populated city where it's real easy to be considered a number and not a person. And Prabha was a straight-laced nurse who longs for her estranged husband who lives in Germany. They're apart, and she's struggling with that. And Anu is a young nurse who has a secret relationship with a Muslim man named Shiaz. And then the third character, the main character, is a lady named Parvati, who's a middle-aged cook in the hospital where they work, who's struggling to keep her apartment from being demolished by developers. One of the things that occurs early in the movie is Prabha gets a pressure cooker as a gift.
The rice cooker.
Rice cooker, and there's lots of ways to interpret it. She embraces the rice cooker as a note and a gift of affection from her husband, but others have perceived it as a way for her husband to tell her, you need to be home in the kitchen and not out being a professional nurse. So you can take that a couple of ways. And then while her husband has sent her a rice cooker and she's trying to figure out how to make sense of her life while her husband's in Germany, there's another doctor who approaches her and starts to make overtures towards her, and she has to make some decisions about how to deal with that. And the cook in the hospital gets evicted from her home, and so they sort of stand up for her and try to get her to figure out how to stay where she is. The two nurses go to, and then there's a scene later where when they go to her hometown to relocate her, there's a man who nearly drowns and she saves him. And that interaction with that man turns into a substitute for her relationship with her husband, who she eventually tells, we're done. So I don't know, Karen, if that makes sense to anybody who watched the movie. I can tell you that it's not a plot-driven movie. It is more of a character development movie of what happens to the three women and how they try to make sense of the situations they're in. The lead character, the nurse who's got a husband in Germany, struggles with what to do with the overtures from this other doctor, and she eventually tells him, I'm married, I can't have a relationship with you. The younger nurse follows through with the relationship, and they have a love affair. And then the third nurse, or the cook, goes back to her hometown, and they help her get resettled there. So Joan watched the movie with me and said, if there weren't such long contemplative pauses in the movie, it probably could be accomplished in about 45 minutes, but it's a slowly paced movie, which is hard to stay engaged with. But there are some individual developments and individual conflicts that occur that to me, one of the more interesting things about it is it won some awards at the Cannes Film Festival, but India did not submit it as an Oscar nomination. And the theory is that because each of the women goes against traditional mores, one tells her husband it's an assigned marriage, it's a a marriage that somebody you will marry this person. Then she eventually says, I don't want to be married to you anymore. The younger nurse crosses religious lines, and as a Hindu has an affair or love relationship with a Muslim. And then the third lady goes against the landlords, and instead of just shutting up and moving out, she fights back. And in each case, these people who try to show some independence are in an Indian system where showing independence and individual initiative is frowned upon. And the theory is that the movie was not submitted because the conservative India Film Foundation thought it too European, that it celebrated independence contrary to what traditional Indian roles should be. So anyway, that's
all movie adjacent. That's not the movie. And I
no, that's not the roles in the movie were what the India Film Festival said. That I think that the theory is that they didn't submit it because of that.
well, I understand that. I also think they did fire the film editor.
Could have been a 30-minute sitcom.
So, Mike, are you having there's 2 hours I'll never get back kind of a moment now, or?
A lot of thoughts went through my mind.
Did you make it all the way through?
Yeah, and I did it in a sitting, but
I did too.
I thought a lot about Nicolas Cage.
Go on, I missed
I don't
it.
get,
Why? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Oh, because
I'll let Gary tell you.
because of his speech.
No.
I don't. I missed the point.
The other movie.
The Brutalist.
No, The Big Year. Not The Big Year, but Moonstruck.
Oh yeah. The Big Year, Nicolas Cage.
oh, no kidding.
I really didn't understand that movie, I guess.
I thought Bill was going to say that the most watched episode was the Moonstruck episode.
I was ready for that too,
That's
Gary.
right.
I'll check after a while. I'll let you know how that's going.
That's before the fan base really got organized.
Yeah, I think that's before we were recording.
There is a part of the movie, and I've thought about going back and watching it because the name of the movie is All We Imagine Is Light, and there are scenes that are enhanced and almost defined by the use of light and dark in the movie, especially the very final scene where they're all there together in the moonlight together, and they've all been through the experience. I think is a signal that that's a signal that this is some sort of resolution, that they've all been through their individual dilemmas, they've made their decisions, and they're resting in each other's comfort, that they are where they are.
I certainly, Gary, thought that about the ending. I thought the film was pretty depressing through most of it, and I found myself thinking, okay, maybe to people who live in India and live in Mumbai, maybe that's just the way it is. I found myself comparing that with our lives in America, and we wouldn't, any of us, be very happy living in Mumbai. But I thought the ending was a nice way to sort of bring everybody together with acceptance, if that's a word. And I thought you talk about the end and they're sitting in the moonlight, but there's also all of these Christmas type lights around this bar or whatever. And the young man who's tending bar, or he's the bar manager or whatever he is dancing with his headset on. And I thought that was kind of an interesting little, I don't know if juxtaposition is the right word or not, but just an interesting little play with a character we knew nothing about.
Yeah, and I think you know, I don't live in India, but I've visited India and China with these massively populated places, and I think there is a sense that you just have to fit in. You have to figure out how to get on the train. You have to figure out how to find an apartment to live. You have to figure out how to get to the next meal, and just going step by step by step is overwhelming. And then to try to figure out how to express your own individuality and all that is what was, I think, was the point of the movie is, can you have some individuality against that mass of humanity and the system that you have to live within?
What made you pick this movie?
What made me pick it was the New York Times named it their top pick movie of the year.
Wow.
And I'd never seen it. I'm like the rest of you. And I was curious why it was their top pick, had not been nominated for an Oscar, had won at Cannes. And, you know, if you looked at, and if you guys did any Wikipedia research, it had an armload of awards. But so I thought, well, something here is worth watching. Let's see what that is. So that's what I recommended. Not because I'd seen it and thought you would love it, is because I hadn't seen it and hoped it would be lovable. But it's hard to watch, and the pacing is brutal. I mean, it's one of those things where if you could put into Chat GPT and say, can you summarize this for me in 30 minutes, it could have been done. And you know, I'm the one that's always talking about the characters, how they go from being one thing and growing into something else. This was like watching a plant grow. There was, you know, there was arc development, but good God, it was slow and methodical. Wow.
Very low.
Maybe that's a cultural thing, though. I mean, we think of India as everything's like Bollywood, you know, but actually, maybe they're the movies that are the films that are made that are more, you know, dramas at slow pace might be something that is sort of expected there. I don't know.
I wondered, Karen, you mentioned Bollywood. I wonder whether this film in any way, shape, or form passed through Bollywood.
I think
I
it's
didn't see it, so I can't say. Yeah,
maybe.
I think it's almost the opposite. Most of if you watched Bollywood movies, there are these synchronized dance things where everybody is in step with everybody else. And a movie where everybody's on their own path is almost anti-Bollywood.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Monsoon Wedding 20 years later. You know, she's like, he's left her and she's all by herself. But I don't know. I worked with a couple of Indian guys, and one of them he was my age, and he had an arranged marriage, and it was great. They had a good life. They, you know, cared about each other. They were happily married and all that. And there was another younger guy there, and he was an engineer that was here, and he was all the time calling his girlfriend back in India, and her parents did not want him to be hooked up with her. And he was all the time calling her and trying to convince her that they should live this modern life, kind of like the Muslim and the girl we're doing in the movie. But I mean, you know, this kind of their culture and all that, it takes all kinds of forms, you know, and this lady, she just had another form of it where it didn't work, and it's a problem. And I'm sure it's a big problem over there, you know.
Well, we spent a lot of time with a gentleman who had an arranged marriage, and they eventually, I mean, they barely knew each other, but they eventually got to know each other and have built a successful family and a business together. So I guess there's more than one approach to happily ever after.
I wonder what the divorce rate is like in India. Ours is not all that great. So
Yeah, I think we asked that question, and I think it's similar, if maybe it's slightly better than the United States. Yeah.
Better meaning fewer divorces, right?
Right.
I would think that's because of traditional mores that they stay together regardless, almost
Right.
like Prabha did in this movie. I mean, he probably could have been there and she'd have been happy.
Yeah.
I thought that was in. Go ahead.
1.5% divorce rate in India.
How
How
much?
much?
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah, Karen, I just saw that and said it's not 1.5, it's 30%.
30%.
Yeah.
That's in I see that one. Yeah, that's in Reddit. I'm always like about Reddit.
Well,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Divorce rate in urban cities like Delhi and Mumbai
Yeah.
is more like 30%.
Yeah.
Still relatively low globally.
Right. Yeah,
The upper trend is significant and worth exploring.
yeah, the highest in terms of states, there are different states in India, is at 18.7, with Maharashtra has the highest, and Kerala has the lowest. It's 6.3. So
I'm gonna ask everybody
depends on
about,
where you look.
yeah, I want to ask everybody about two scenes. What was your take of the rice cooker, and what do you think it meant? Okay.
It was from Germany, so there was the implication that it came from her husband,
Right.
and I think I don't know if he was trying to make a gesture or if it was really something else that came from somewhere else, just happened to be made in Germany. It was
Why
puzzling.
wouldn't he have put his name on it?
Right.
But the way she embraced it and dealt with it affectionately, I just assumed that it was from him. And the way she received it was as a token of affection. At least that's the way I saw it. But I think you could interpret it that maybe it was a gesture of control. I'm just curious how you saw it.
Well,
I
Gary, there was
I thought it was
no.
I thought it was a gesture of affection, and I didn't even the thought of control didn't cross my mind until you brought it up. I still think it was a gesture of pretty stilted affection, but affection nonetheless. The guy had been over there for the better part of a year or a full year. I mean, there are a lot of other ways to demonstrate, your longing for somebody in a long distance relationship rather than a kitchen utility. So
Wait.
Yeah, but it was
what?
made in Germany. That's a high quality.
yeah, absolutely. But no, I thought it was a pretty stilted gesture of affection on it. Just in general, I thought there was one reviewer that said this was a patient movie, and that's sort of an understatement. For it. I struggled with it a lot because of its pacing and
Length.
simple character development.
Yeah. John, you were going to say?
Well, I just think it was interesting that there was. I mean, they talked a lot about who it was from, and the fact that that it was not from anybody. It may have been gee, I hope it's from my husband in Germany, but I don't really know that. I mean, it would have been real easy for there to be a card or something in there. So I think that to me, that was all part of the longing for him. Even though the movie ended with this almost dead guy, and somehow she transposes him into her husband and then decides she doesn't want anything to do with him. So just one of the things in the film that were probably open to lots of interpretation.
Can we talk about that scene for a minute? Because
I was going to bring that up. Karen, there is a scene where they go back to this lady's hometown and help her try to get resettled after she gets booted from her apartment.
That's the cook, right? You said
yes. And a man gets washed ashore, virtually drowned, and the older nurse, the one whose husband is in Germany, resuscitates him, and she in her mind gets it in her mind that she has brought her husband back to life.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jeff. I just want to catch Karen up on what the scene was about.
Well, yeah. Well, so that's the crux of it, was who was this guy? I mean, I got the impression they were trying to tell us that it was her husband, and that would be a 1 in 7 billion chance. So, but then at the end, she did reject him. So I didn't quite understand. Was it really supposed to be her husband? Now you're saying she was just imagining that it was her husband?
I think it could have been an imagination.
Okay.
I think he was a surrogate for her to plan a way out, that she could have him there and then tell him that she was done. That she couldn't get to him to tell him that, so this stranger rolled up. She saved his life, and then she was able to, her debt was forgiven, and she could go on about her business.
Doesn't the stranger she brings back to life, isn't he also confused and says, "Are you my wife?"
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if maybe they were trying to say he was. And then he started, touching her hands and stuff, and like he was making moves on her. But
yeah, I think she just assigned his qualities to that drowning man, and then used that as a springboard to her decision later. That's my interpretation of it.
That's how I interpreted it too.
Yeah, Jeff, I thought, did I fall asleep for a minute? Because
you probably did.
Yeah, well,
oh no, I did.
Yeah, full disclosure, I did, but not at that point. But I thought, now wait a minute, is this, as you say, 1 in 7 billion chance that it is actually her husband? It's just one of those kind of things that's open to several different interpretations.
Could it have been like a metaphor for not her, but for the marriage itself? It's drowning, and she's the one that
excellent.
Yeah.
I didn't see the movie, so
this guy was wrapped up in a fishing net, and they called him up, and everybody was yelling and screaming, and the nurse ran out there and said, "Get away, I'm going to take care of this." And she gave him CPR, gave him 1 or 2 breaths, and he woke up.
And before she got there, the crowd that surrounded him, they said, "Well, he's a goner. He's dead." They all assumed that he was dead.
Mm-hmm.
If she hadn't been there, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
True.
So she saved the marriage, and then she killed it at the end.
Yeah.
But up to that point, she was advising the younger lady that she should follow the ways of society. And after that point, that's when she pulled up the chair and said, "It's a big place. It's a big world." And she opened up to the young Muslim, and that was the turning point when she realized her husband isn't going to be around.
Well, and maybe there's a broader statement there about the state of the world today and the hatred among various groups. And to me, that was part of the positive after an hour and 50 minutes of, how sharp a knife am I going to use on my neck?
You should see when we do Moonstruck again. You guys...
That line was for you, Wicker.
Thank you. Thank you. Chris, you've been awfully quiet.
Yeah. You know, she tried to call her husband.
Yeah.
The cook lady said, why don't you try to call him? And she did. And it just went to some sort of a voicemail system. It was kind of difficult to tell where it went. So she gave up on that. And I think it was all downhill even more from there. But it was difficult to hang with this because of the lulls in between what scenes were the most important.
I mean, based on the experience of these 7 or 8, 9 people, whatever we are, how could the New York Times find this as the best movie of the year? How does that happen?
Good question.
Good question.
They probably had somebody at Cannes, and they probably had somebody at some other festivals and became aware of it and watched it and thought it was good somehow.
Well, yeah, no, I get that, but
Yeah, why would they choose this one?
yeah,
I think this, you can kind of chalk this sort of stuff up to publications like the Times trying to be trendsetters and being smarter than everybody else, and just trying to be. Man, I was going to use the word outlier, but that's not it. I mean, I got a lot of respect for pretty much everything the New York Times does, but this seems like a very odd choice to make that sort of declaration that this was the best movie of that year, because I don't think anybody here thinks it's even close to that. So
I looked at the IMDb list of awards that this won, and most of them were not foreign film category, but foreign language film category. And so I didn't know if that had an impact on some of the awards.
It's all lost in translation.
What was the Rotten Tomatoes rating for it?
That's pretty good.
8.6, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the Academy, and this was Joan's observation, sometimes the Academy will make statements politically. Right now, trans is not, it's not in the mainstream of political thought. So a movie like Amelia Perez gets a lift as a statement of, we're going to go against the current. And Honora, a sex worker movie, wins Best Picture. Mainstream movies almost never get Academy Awards. It is the movies that go against the mainstream thought that get the Academy Awards. And I think this is a case where this movie, because it shows 3 Indian women going against the grain, probably got a favorable review and favorable publicity. And there were people who said the movie doesn't represent India, it represents Europe. And that's why it was not promoted as a Indian nomination for an Oscar. I'm trying to answer the same question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you guys know
Maybe
if
next year we'll get to see a movie about all those transgendered mice? Won't that be fun?
Zing.
do you know if to go to con, do you have to be a critic, or can you just be any Joe Blow can go?
My guess is if you've got a high enough credit card limit, you can go. I'm sure there are people who get invited who are critics and distributors and people in the industry. But if you can,
Any of you guys ever been?
Well, to the town, but not the festival. No. No.
I never have.
All right, well, we've got about 17 minutes to go, and if you guys want, we can pivot to what do we want the League of Unpaid Film Critics to look like going forward. Bill has kicked off a discussion about how we refine this. Do we do it less frequently? Do we do it on different days, different pace? Bill, since you started it, have you reconsidered, and have you got some ideas on how you would like to see this played out?
I think, I could probably live with going to a reduced amount of movies. Every week has been a lot for 4 years or whatever it is.
Mhm.
I could probably live with that, but I mean, as far as that goes, I could come in if you guys wanted to keep going every week, I could just come in every other week. I was kind of curious about what Mike Mahoney thought about all of it. Everybody else pretty much chimed in, I thought.
I'm with you. I think if we went to less frequent meetings, I would support that.
Like the first and third Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't really have a problem with the time personally. I've gotten used to grabbing dinner before it and then doing it.
Or during it, like me.
And that might be better for Jeff, 3 in the afternoon. That's pretty.
Yeah,
Pretty
for
early.
he's working, that's hard.
Mhm.
We eat virtually every night at 7 or 7:30. So either I have to eat after or I have to eat before. That's why I was pushing for something earlier. So the centerpiece of our day is our dinner together, and one night a week I have to disrupt that. So I was looking for relief.
Does twice a month make that easier?
Well, sure, it makes it half as complicated.
Oh, should have done the math.
I was told there'd be no math.
We're in journalism, right, Mahoney?
Exactly.
So let's see.
Well, you want to do it an hour earlier? I mean, I can live with that. You're concerned about me.
I'd like 6 o'clock Central Time. I'd go for that.
So would I.
Yeah, 6 is fine.
Okay,
Matt
thanks,
said,
Jeff.
Aaron.
That's generous. That's good.
Very much so, Jeff.
Does that give you an excuse to leave work early at 4, Jeff? Is that what you're looking for?
Well, it's only every other week too, so that'd be,
All right. So can we agree on first and third? Now, what about months that have 5 Mondays? Do we take
Yep.
a night off or do we add it in?
No, it's done.
First and third, period.
It's a
Yeah.
bonus.
Yeah, let's do that.
First and third, 6 o'clock, starting in,
This is a month with 5 Mondays.
Yep.
There's 2 of them, aren't there?
but
mean,
we're,
this month right now. It's
but we have a national holiday. So
that's true, on the 3rd.
whose pick is it next? I know I went out of order.
Hey, one other little thing.
Oakland.
I think I would be in favor of getting Zoom and not going to the online version of it. I checked to see how much it is. It's $160. So that'd be $16 a piece.
So you want to keep
That's
the
fair.
account and
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
it like this? All
Yeah.
right.
Because I'm afraid we'd be going, and the way I remember it is it shuts off.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Then we haven't completed the discussion properly, at least we'd like to. And, there's a few of us a little long-winded, so you might get into somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to keep it going, and $16 a year, that's
Yeah.
not
Be
much.
happy to Zelle that to you or whatever you like, Bill.
Okay.
When does that come up
And then
again, Bill?
we can kind of review our situation every year, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
when
I
next
think it's
March,
like April 1st or something, isn't it, Bill?
when next March comes around.
No.
Now, this is going to make for some riveting TV right here. What will happen to the
It
league?
all is.
People will be telling their friends.
So when is our next, based on this first and third, our next one is
Next
2
week.
April
Next
7th.
week, the 17th, but
Well,
we've
that's
already
a-
had two.
It's a holiday.
Yeah, we've already had two this month, so maybe we should skip to April and begin our first and third, which would be April 7th and April 21st.
Let's just do the 24th.
Yeah, let's do the 24th and confirm
24th.
everything that we've agreed to.
Okay,
I know I went out of order. Whose turn is it?
Jeff Copeland's.
Okay.
All right. Well, I've given this long and serious consideration of approximately a minute. But as I was thinking about movies in India and so forth, I think it might be fun to go back and watch Gandhi.
Ah,
That's one of the best comedies of all time. I think it'd be a laugh riot. Yeah.
Yeah, it moves a little faster. than-
It does.
So I know that's not much imagination, but that's my a quick draw kind of suggestion.
Joan and I went back and watched it a couple months ago, and it's a masterpiece. So no complaints.
Hey, Bill, when you post this, would you put a note to Donna that we're meeting the 24th and then again on the 7th and going first and third, et
Yep.
cetera, and that she's up next?
Okay.
and an hour earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, 6. I just put it in my calendar.
And
as 6.
and we're going to start an hour earlier. Okay.
On the 24th we are?
Are we?
Yeah, that'd be
Might
great.
as well, this
The
consensus.
24th of this month or 24th of April?
No,
This,
March.
this month.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'll send everybody a calendar invite separately. So because I'm good at sending John Twitty calendar invites to things that he invites me to.
Very
Yeah,
much
I did-
appreciated, Wicker.
Did you've already sent John's email on something, haven't you?
I've included him in a lot of the back and forth, including the discussion about how we refine this, so it's not so time consuming. Yeah.
Okay, I'll get him on the thing. That'd be great. Does anybody have any other movies that they want to throw out there, or seen any other movies this week?
Yeah, I wanted to throw out on Hulu, Sly Lives, AKA The Burden of Black Genius.
Is that a documentary?
Yeah, it's really good.
I think I saw it.
I haven't seen it, but a friend of
Questlove?
mine was telling me about it, that it's very good.
It's by Questlove.
Yeah.
Same guy who did Summer, whatever it was.
Right. The Black Woodstock.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah,
everybody seen
It was
Flow?
really good. Really good. He's still alive too.
Yeah.
Has everybody seen Flow?
Yes,
Mm.
That's worth it.
it's excellent, yes.
It has even less dialogue than this movie, but a lot more action.
A lot more action.
You just mean some action.
Yep.
Normally, I would have been upset about subtitles, but they were so, there just was so little dialogue that it didn't really bother.
It did, right. I'm not sure why it came up. I think it was one of those, this movie is about to leave Netflix, and we watched The Runaway Jury. Was that one of our club picks
Yeah.
a while back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yes,
thought it looked
There's
awfully,
yeah,
awfully familiar. Yeah.
that's my very first pick, actually.
So it
after I
goes back
go-
a year or so.
Yeah, almost 2 years.
That's quite the
Time
cast.
flies.
Well, and it's a Gene Hackman film, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
That's the other thing. Joan and I watched Hoosiers. She had never seen Hoosiers.
Really?
Oh yeah. And that's
Good
a heartbreaker. Yeah. He's really good in that.
So what happened with Gene Hackman? she died, and then he.
Well, yeah, they think she died of a weird bacterial disease, probably from an animal, and he had some Alzheimer's, and probably when she died, he didn't support himself and just didn't drink and eat and died a week later.
Apparently like the dog.
Yeah, and sad that dog was kenneled and couldn't get out and died of dehydration.
Oh. I know he'd been retired and writing books. He'd at least written a book, I know.
Yeah,
I think they said at least
95,
three.
right?
Joan and I met him in Chicago at a hotel where he was attending a book fair. Like, wow, aren't you Gene Hackman? What are you doing here? And he goes, well, I've got a book I'm pushing on a book fair here.
Nice.
Where was he from? Does anybody know?
Well, what did they say? Oh, I don't know where he was from. He died in what, Santa Fe?
Yeah, he lived in Santa Fe, and at one time he lived on the West Coast because he and Dustin Hoffman attended Paradise Playhouse to learn their acting career, and both of them, well, at least Hackman got kicked out of it. And remember, I had said that they were both voted least likely to succeed.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Gene Hackman movie?
French Connection.
That was the first one I saw. And didn't he win the Academy for Best Actor for that?
Yeah.
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 John,
Popeye
this is-
Doyle.
Did he
He's in-
win? Did he win something for Unforgiven?
Yeah,
Yeah,
supporting
I
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are his 2 Oscars.
And usually what we do in this is the first 30 to 35 minutes, we talk about the pick of the week. And then somebody picks the movie for the next meeting. And then we throw around TV series or movies that we've seen that we think other people in the club might want to take a look at. So if you've
Just
seen
watch Zero Day without the cheat or with De Niro.
was that a series?
The
It's
series
a
is
it's a 6-part series on, I think it was Netflix, either Netflix or Prime.
Netflix, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
It's
very
really
thought
good.
provoking.
What's it called? 0 Days?
Zero Day.
Yeah.
It's about
It's-
a cyber attack.
So
And De
Gene
Niro-
Hackman was born in California, Chris, but he grew up in Danville, Illinois.
Oh, how about that?
Wow.
In Danville. Is that pretty close to St. Louis?
No, I don't think so.
No.
wasn't there a train from there?
Oh, that was
Danville train?
Clarksville. Last train to Clarksville.
No, I think
Somebody robbed the Danville
Yeah.
train.
Yeah. City of New Orleans.
Hey, all you St.
Glendale
Louis.
train. Somebody robbed the Glendale train.
Oh, of course.
Not Danville.
No,
They sound alike,
in
yeah.
City of New Orleans,
Oh,
Arlo Guthrie, Danville train. But I
Huh.
think that was Danville, Virginia, actually.
No, it would have been Illinois.
no, yeah, because it was Chicago to New Orleans.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
the
Joan
city- that's
Baez.
The city of New Orleans is the name of that route.
Yeah, yeah. But the Danville train is in Joan Baez and the band's song about the
Right,
Civil
they
War.
drove old Dixie down.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, mixed metaphors here.
Yeah,
The night they drove old Dixie down, it's in
Uh-huh.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Virgil Kane is the name, and I rode on the
Drove on the
Danville train.
Danville train.
Yeah.
Till so much cavalry came and tore up the tracks again.
again. The
Yeah.
winner of
So
61.
Karen, did you?
We were
did you book-
hungry, just barely alive.
All
did you
together
book,
now.
Did you book Arlo Guthrie or the band at Mizzou? Either one.
No, but Sly Stone stood us up.
Really?
Yeah, we had contracts and everything, and so.
Wow.
would've
Might have
Ain't
been
no
during his
stinking
drunken
contracts.
period.
Yeah.
What was your best get?
Well, I didn't do the big. I had friends on the big committee, but I did a smaller committee, Jeff and I and the other Karen, and my, at that time, boyfriend, not Bob. And there were a couple other people on that committee. We were the Jazz, Blues, and Folk Committee, and I don't know, I would say Ravi Shankar.
You were
Oh,
mostly
my.
at Jesse, right?
Yeah. He was a big old flirt. He was, Ravi Shankar. He flirted with every one of us.
And the big ones were all at the Cow Palace thing.
Well, mostly they were,
Hearns, at Hearns too.
Hearns, yeah. Yeah. The event, yeah. But before, I mean, Hearns opened while we were there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60.
Before that,
no,
it would be
70.
Brewer, there were shows at Brewer at the old
Brewer.
field house. And
That's
then,
right.
and then at that livestock arena as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jackson Brown was at the Livestock Arena.
Linda Ronstadt.
And Ronstadt.
Robinson
Yeah.
McKenna.
I think
Leo
Todd
Kottke.
Rundgren, I
Yeah,
think,
Leo
maybe.
Kottke. Let's see. Bonnie Raitt.
Todd
Put on
Rundgren,
such a show. I still have
Yeah,
my
Todd.
yeah.
John Hartman.
Dirt
Right.
Band.
Dirt Band was there. Yeah.
They were at Jesse, I know.
Yeah. I mean, they were at Mizzou. I couldn't remember where they were.
Yeah.
B.B. King came, but I don't know if that was in the same era.
I remember seeing Harry Chapin at Jesse.
John Goodman, not John Goodman, Steve Goodman was there.
And
That was a
John,
good concert.
name John Hartman?
Hartford.
Hartford. John Hartford.
Then,
Yeah.
the big one that was my favorite that I went to was Fleetwood Mac, and this was pre-Stevie. Fleetwood Mac, Deep Purple, and Rory Gallagher. And Rory Gallagher blew me away. I'm like, what a guitarist, man.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, that was
Right.
my favorite one to go to.
All right, John, this is what you have to put up with. You have to put up with a lot of Mizzou reminiscing when we do these meetings.
Oh, he'll like that.
I think he can handle it.
I can't
Yeah.
think of anything else I'd rather do.
Me neither.
You know,
Well,
relive.
Chris and Jeff Arthur love this more than
Good one,
any.
Bill.
Sure. And
And
Donna.
Barnhart. And Barnhart.
Donna rolls her
Yeah.
eyes
Yeah.
internally. She's very, very kind on the outside, but internally.
Time to
So,
retire again.
here they go.
Okay.
It's
All
9
right.
o'clock where I am.
All right,
So
so
I'm,
welcome to the
Gandhi,
club.
huh?
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
Thank you all very
John.
much.
Have a
You're
great
welcome.
week.
We'll see you in
Welcome,
2
John.
weeks.
In 2
Take
weeks,
care.
Gandhi.
Of course.
happy
Bye.
St. Patty's Day, Mahoney.
You bet. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Be
Yeah.
safe.
Bye-bye.
I'll be looking
Back
for you,
at,
Mike.
back at you, Walls.
Bye.